Hey people, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're well and in good health. Okay, right now we're looking at a cost of living crisis article by The Guardian. It's talking about UK workers will be worse off in 2024 than in 2019, which is basically a warning that's been shot off by the Resolution Foundation. So let's take a look and dive in. So it says here, UK workers' living standards will flatline next year, leaving them on track to be 4% worse off heading into the next election than they were in 2019, according to a leading think tank, which is basically the Resolution Foundation. So, as you're aware, we've seen various elements happening over the last few years with the pandemic and also, inflation issues, the economy, all these type of mini recessions and what's going on right now. And a lot of companies have closed down, but the Resolution Foundation are basically saying that in their research, which looks at low to middle income households, that never in living memory have families got so much poorer over the course of a parliament. And in 2024, there's probably going to be a general election that's going to be taking place in the UK. So higher mortgage rates, steep tax rises, and basically a stagnant economy, with all the issues like Brexit and other things that have impacted it, means that UK workers were on track before an expected election next year to suffer the worst fall in income over a 5-year period since the 1950s. That's like a period of over 70 years. Adam Corlett, the organization's principal economist, said that stable incomes basically next year will be a relief for many households, but the bad news is that living standards outlook is still quite dire, with overall stagnation and further income falls on the way for less well-off households. So that's probably the most poorest in society. Okay, in a separate study, economic stagnation next year will be compounded by slowing exports to Europe and the rest of the world, following a decline in global trade and unique barriers caused by Brexit, red tape, and all this bureaucracy. So obviously we know what kind of impact Brexit has had on the UK. So you can see here the British Chamber of Commerce said in its quarterly economic forecast that the UK has avoided a recession this year, but with a number of economic indicators now flashing red. And the next couple of years, basically, there's going to be low growth. And this is the issue, really. So, again, analysts at this foundation said that the income of typical working age households were on course to be 4% lower in 2024-2025 than they were in 2019-2020. Obviously, that's considerably worse than 1% income fall recorded between 2005, 2006, and 2010 and 2011. Now, the report itself looked at comparable UK data going back to the middle of the 20th century, right? While some important elements of economic data, are basically improving, with inflation halving, falling from a peak of 11.1% last year to 6.8%, a couple of months ago. Bank of England is likely to halt its interest rate rising cycle within a few months, which is going to be a relief for some individuals who have mortgages, for example, on properties and those renting properties and so on. And then a rise in tax bills and restricted government finances will limit the recovery. Inflation adjusted gross pay is expected to rise by 2.9% on average over the course of Parliament, but frozen tax thresholds mean that for the typical employee, post-tax pay will rise by just 0.6% in real terms over this period. The think tanks also noted some big winners during the election year, with a saving boom stemming from the sharp rise in interest rates. Better off pensioners with savings and no mortgage would gain the most after a rise in total gross income from interest on savings, to about 90 billion next year. Obviously, younger people, younger families, couples are not likely to see that same kind of, we're being well off in that sense. So equivalent to more than 3,000 households on average, up from 5 billion in 2021, 2022. And obviously that's pensioners that are looking to benefit the most. The bulk of the savings windfall will go to the 10th of households with the most savings, giving them about 20 grand each on average, while the half of households with the lowest savings will receive about 100 each typically. Obviously, you can see a massive difference there. Households where people aged 65 to 74 are expected to gain 6 times as much as from the savings boom on average, than those who are aged 35 and under, like I just mentioned. So mainly younger people are on the receiving end and they're not likely to benefit as much. And the number of people living in absolute poverty, calculated as below 60% of the 2010-11 median income, adjusted for inflation, was projected to rise by 300,000 next year, reaching 12 million in 2024 and 2025. Now, British Chamber of Commerce also, talking about a modest upgrade to the forecast growth rate of the UK economy this year, which has been overshadowed by steep falls in business investment and weakening exports, limiting growth to between 1% and zero over the following 2 years, which is worrying. Now, David Barrier, the business lobby group's head of research, said small and medium-sized firms will basically be struggling to rebuild confidence following 3 years of economic shocks and prolonged inflation, skills shortages, and new trade parties with the EU have had basically a climate of little no growth. So you can see all these different elements coming together has caused a lot of problems for SMEs, small businesses here in the UK. But I don't think it's just the UK, across Europe and other parts of the world as well. So you can see a rapidly increasing proportion of SMEs also now worried about interest rates, which have dramatically raised borrowing costs in many cases. So a lot of companies are going to suffer in terms of accessing finance which is affordable. Now, with further trade barriers looming, leading to high import costs and tightness in the labour market persisting, it's difficult to see how large-scale investment will be unlocked. Government needs to, basically liaise with businesses and start to build a clear strategy and pathway to try and tackle this. Okay, people, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please do like, share, subscribe, comment below, let us know what you think. Catch you in the next one.